Once upon a time, in a world that stretched out further than any ant could truly comprehend, lived a small ant named Pip. From Pip's perspective, the world was a colossal, unpredictable place. Blades of grass towered like ancient trees, pebbles were mountains to be scaled, and a sudden drop of rain could feel like a falling ocean. Life in the colony was a constant cycle of searching, carrying, and following. There were thousands, maybe millions of other ants, all busy, all seemingly knowing exactly where they were going and what they were doing. Pip often felt like just one tiny, easily lost speck in a vast, confusing universe. The tasks assigned sometimes felt monumental for such a small creature. Carrying a crumb that was 10 times Pip's size back over uneven ground, navigating treacherous patches of dew, or simply keeping up with the relentless pace of the foraging lines. One cycle, a message rippled through the colony's network of scent trails and antenna touches. A source of incredibly valuable nourishment, a dropped piece of fruit, had been discovered far, far away in a territory rarely explored. It was a place whispered about in hushed antenna clicks, rumored to be fraught with peril, yet holding the promise of sustenance that could significantly benefit the colony. The call went out for foragers willing to undertake the perilous journey. Many experienced ants hesitated, remembering past failures, the vast distances, and the unseen dangers that lurked outside familiar paths. Pip, despite feeling overwhelmingly small and perpetually slightly unsure of the way, felt a strange tug. Perhaps it was the hope of contributing something truly significant, or perhaps it was a desperate desire to find a path that felt purposeful, something more than the repetitive tasks of the everyday. Hesitantly, Pip joined the small group of ants preparing for the expedition. The journey began. At first, staying with the group provided a sense of security. Following the scent trail laid by the scouts felt manageable, but soon the terrain became more challenging than anticipated. A seemingly small crack in the earth became a terrifying chasm, requiring a long, arduous detour. A patch of fine, loose soil turned into a frustrating trap where every step forward resulted in sliding back. Pip watched as some of the more experienced ants, frustrated and weary, turned back towards the safety of the colony. Doubt began to creep into Pip's tiny mind. "Maybe this is too hard," a quiet voice whispered. "Maybe I'm not strong enough. Maybe it's hopeless." One afternoon, while navigating a dense patch of grass that felt like an impenetrable forest, Pip lost the scent trail. Panic, cold and sharp, seized Pip. The world instantly felt larger, more indifferent, and terrifyingly empty. Every blade of grass looked the same. The familiar scent of the colony was gone. Pip was utterly, completely lost. This felt like the ultimate confirmation of Pip's fears. Just a single ant, adrift and alone in a giant, uncaring world. The feeling of hopelessness was a heavy weight, making the idea of even trying to move seem pointless. Pip curled up beside a discarded leaf, the sheer scale of the world pressing down, the vastness of the gray sky mirroring the emptiness inside. As Pip lay there, overwhelmed, a tiny movement caught Pip's eye. A seemingly even smaller creature, a determined beetle, was slowly, painstakingly, pushing a piece of debris many times its size across the ground. The beetle didn't stop when it hit a twig, it simply found a way around. It didn't despair when it wobbled, it simply readjusted. Watching the beetle, a thought sparked in Pip's mind. The beetle wasn't trying to move the whole world. It wasn't waiting for the debris to magically disappear. It was just focusing on the next push, on the next tiny movement. It was determined not by the size of the obstacle, but by the simple, persistent act of moving forward. Pip uncurled. The world was still vast, the scent trail was still lost, but the hopelessness felt slightly less crushing. Pip couldn't teleport back to the colony. Pip couldn't instantly find the fruit source, but Pip could take one step, and then another, and then look for a familiar landmark, however distant. Standing up, Pip chose a direction, not because it was the guaranteed right one, but simply because it was a direction. The journey became a series of small tasks. Climb over this twig, navigate around that pebble, rest for a moment under this leaf, then move again. When doubt resurfaced, Pip thought of the beetle and focused on the very next step. When the path seemed to lead nowhere, Pip didn't despair about the destination, but focused on the act of exploring, of seeing what was just beyond the next blade of grass. The journey was still fraught with difficulty. There were close calls with enormous, lumbering creatures, feet that felt like earthquakes, bewildering changes in the terrain, a sudden shift from soil to rough bark, and moments of aching fatigue. But with each obstacle overcome, each small step taken, Pip felt a quiet strength growing. It wasn't the strength of size, but the strength of persistence. It was the understanding that progress wasn't about giant leaps. but about consistent, determined movement. After what felt like an age, guided by instinct and that newfound quiet determination, Pip caught a faint, familiar scent. Not the colony, but the unique aroma of the distant fruit source. Following the scent, step by careful step, navigating the final, challenging stretch, Pip finally arrived. The fruit was there, a vibrant splash of color in the relatively unfamiliar territory. Other ants from different colonies were already there, busily gathering. Pip, the single, determined ant who had been lost and felt hopeless, had made it. Pip joined the gathering, the task of breaking off and carrying a piece of the fruit back now feeling challenging, but not impossible. As Pip began the long journey home, following the scent trail left by others, the world still felt large, and there would undoubtedly be more obstacles. But Pip no longer felt like just a single, insignificant speck lost in the vastness. Pip was a single, determined ant who had faced being lost, overcome despair, and learned that the power to move forward, to find purpose, and to eventually reach the destination wasn't about controlling the giant world outside, but about cultivating unwavering persistence within, focusing on the next step, and never underestimating the power of one small creature's resolve. When you feel small and overwhelmed by the vastness and challenges of life, remember that progress isn't about having all the answers or controlling everything around you. It's about focusing on the next step, staying persistent in the face of setbacks, and trusting in your own inner determination to navigate the journey, no matter how long or difficult the path may seem. If this story resonated with you, hit the like button. See you in the next video.